It never occurred to me that my resolve to improve my physical appearance might lead to temptation and forbidden attraction. At the age of 31, I was attempting to handle the highs and lows of a long-term relationship that had become stale while also balancing a hard work as a marketing manager in Sydney. After 5 years of dating, my boyfriend Tom and I had recently come to feel more like roommates than lovers. The spark that had previously characterized our relationship was all but gone, and our days were boring and monotonous. I chose to join a posh gym close to my workplace in an effort to change up my routine and boost my self-esteem. Although I had always been active, I felt exhausted and disengaged from my own body as a result of the pressure on my relationship and the stress of my job. I reasoned that in addition to helping me get back in shape, exercising would allow me to decompress and recover some control over my life. With its slick, contemporary design, cutting-edge equipment, and lively environment, the gym felt more like a social club than a place to work out. Lucas, a personal trainer at the gym, was there when I first met him. With his muscular physique, sharp green eyes, and effortless smile, Lucas, who was in his early 30s, immediately won people over. I was immediately at ease with his easygoing, self-assured manner. One afternoon, while I was having trouble using one of the machines, he said, "Hey, I'm Lucas. Need some help?" I answered, a little ashamed, "Thanks, Lucas. I'm still working through all of this." He laughed and changed the machine settings for me, saying, "No worries. You're doing well. Just keep in mind that form and consistency are crucial." As he demonstrated how to operate the equipment correctly, we spoke for a while, and I discovered that I was enjoying the conversation more than I had anticipated. Even when I was sweating and having a hard time working out, Lucas managed to make me feel at ease and was easy to talk to. Following that first encounter, I began to see him more frequently at the gym, always smiling or offering a quick advice to help me get better at what I do. Lucas came up to me with an offer a few weeks later. He remarked, "Hey, I've been following your progress, and I think you're doing awesome. I would love to assist you in taking things to the next level if you are interested. I believe we might collaborate rather effectively, and I have several personal training sessions available." I paused, considering the advantages and disadvantages. The thought of having someone lead me through my workouts was alluring, especially if that someone was Lucas, but personal training was a bit of a luxury. Yes, why not? Excitement fluttering through me, I consented. The extra push is definitely something I could use. Lucas became my personal trainer after that, and our sessions soon became the most exciting part of my week. He challenged me, pushing me to do more than I had previously believed I could, and I discovered that I was advancing more quickly than I had ever anticipated. The bond one had with Lucas, however, was what kept me going back, not simply the workouts. He was more than simply a trainer. He was a person who cared, listened, and gave me a sense of belonging that I hadn't had in a long time. I began to look forward to our sessions more and more as the weeks passed. Even when I was tired and sweating, Lucas managed to make me laugh, and our chats flowed naturally. We discussed everything from our favorite movies and weekend plans to diet and exercise. It was effortless and organic, as if we had known one another for years. However, I was unable to ignore the increasing tension between us as our sessions increased in frequency. We both sensed a spark, an unmistakable chemistry that none of us could deny. It was in the way he would stand a little too close to me, the way his gaze would stay on me for a little too long, and the lingering touches. He was my trainer, and I was in a relationship, so I knew it was bad, but I couldn't help but feel the draw. Lucas and I were by ourselves in the gym one evening following a particularly hard workout. We were alone in the dimly lit room because it was late and the normal crowd had long since left. As I sat on a bench to collect my breath, Lucas approached with a light-hearted smile. As he gave me a high five, he exclaimed, "You did great today. You're killing it, really." With my heart still pounding from the workout and the way he was staring at me, I said, "Thanks. Without your encouragement, I couldn't have done it." Lucas took a seat next to me, bringing our knees together. He said softly, "You know, Sarah, you're stronger than you think. Not only in terms of body, but also in terms of mind. I see it in your perseverance and your daily presence, even in the face of adversity." I felt a knot grow in my throat as his comments struck me in an unexpected way. Hearing Lucas recognize my efforts felt like the reinforcement I much needed because I had been dealing with a lot lately, including my relationship with Tom and my own insecurities. I murmured, hardly raising my voice above a whisper, "Thank you. That is very significant." We were silent for a moment, and there was tension in the air between us that was not expressed. A combination of adrenaline and something else, which I didn't want to acknowledge, caused my pulse to speed. I was drawn to Lucas in a way that defied logic, and I found myself leaning in ever so little as he continued to stare at me with incredible intensity. "Sarah," he replied softly, with a hint of hesitancy in his voice. "I understand that this may be going too far, but I keep thinking about you all the time." I felt a flood of emotions, including excitement, remorse, and terror, and my breath stuck in my throat. "Lucas, He interrupted, stroking his hair, and said, "I apologize. That wasn't the right thing to say. I don't want our relationship to become strange. However, I can't act as though I'm feeling nothing." My thoughts were racing as I gazed at him. I was aware that I needed to finish this and let him know that we must maintain a professional demeanor. In actuality, though, I sensed it too. The draw between us was too great for me to ignore, even if I had been attempting to push it away. Despite my waning willpower, I said, "Lucas, I'm in a relationship. I don't want to cause any trouble." "I understand," he said in a genuine tone. "And I honor that. However, I'm there if you ever feel the need to talk to someone or if circumstances change." I nodded, feeling as though his words were a thick blanket covering me. I knew I should put some distance between us and go away, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it. A tiny, self-centered part of me yearned for the attention, the connection, and the sense of belonging. The tension between us was evident as we sat in quiet for a moment longer. His closeness sent chills down my spine, and I could feel the heat emanating from his body. For a brief moment of temptation, I realized I was playing with fire and jeopardizing everything. But I didn't care at the time. "Lucas," I murmured quietly, my voice shaking. "I'm not sure what to do." His hand reached out and cupped my cheek tenderly. With his thumb barely grazing my skin, he murmured, "You don't have to do anything you're not ready for. But, Sarah, I'm here. And you are important to me." I leaned in and gave him a tentative kiss before I could change my mind. Even though it was only a quick contact, it was enough to give me a shock of electricity. We were both breathing deeply and pressing our foreheads into one another when we pulled apart. "This is crazy," I muttered, my voice a mix of desire and terror. "This isn't what we should be doing." Lucas looked into my eyes and said, "I know. I don't want to stop though." I didn't either. However, when the truth of what we were doing set in, I realized that we couldn't go over that line entirely. "We must exercise caution," I remarked, stepping back. "I am unable to harm Tom. I can't harm him like way." Lucas gave a nod, his face displaying comprehension. "I understand. Furthermore, I don't want to place you in a conflicting situation. Know that I'm available for everything you need." The days that followed were filled with a lot of different feelings. I made an effort to avoid Lucas in order to concentrate on my connection with Tom and determine my true desires. However, everything was not as simple as it seemed. It was impossible to forget because every time I saw Lucas at the gym, every time we smiled or looked at one another, the tension between us flared up again. I went back to the gym one evening after a particularly demanding workday in the hopes that a decent workout would help me decompress. As I went onto the treadmill, I noticed Lucas doing weights in the corner of the almost deserted gym. He gave me a little knowing smile as our eyes locked. He wiped perspiration off his brow and muttered, "Hey, stranger. I haven't seen you in a while." I answered, "Yeah, I've been busy," but my true motivation was to avoid him, merely attempting to finish the week. He responded, leaning against the treadmill, "Same here. Listen, I just wanted to let you know that I don't want you to feel under any pressure because I've been thinking about what occurred the other night. If you would like, we may simply be friends." Although I valued what he said, I wasn't really sure what I wanted. I struggled to balance the excitement of my connection with Lucas with the security of my relationship with Tom. I forced a smile and answered, "Thanks, Lucas. I am merely attempting to solve the situation." His eyes softened as he nodded. "I understand. And no matter what you decide, I'm here for you." In the end, we worked out side by side, our quiet being both comfortable and full of emotions that we were unable to express. The gym gradually filled up as the evening went on, leaving the two of us alone once more. The draw between us was too great. Even though I knew I should call it a night, and go home. Lucas came over to me as I was finishing my last set, his face grave. "May I ask you a question, Sarah?" I wiped the perspiration from my brow and replied, "Sure. What are you thinking about?" He paused, as though he wasn't sure how to ask the question. "Sarah, are you happy?" As in, really happy. I was taken aback by the question, and a knot started to develop in my throat. Hearing it said out loud made it all too true, even though I had been asking myself the same question for weeks. I said, hardly raising my voice above a whisper, "I don't know. I'd like to be. However, I am uncertain if I am." With a steady stare, Lucas nodded. "You are deserving of happiness. Additionally, remember that it's acceptable to change if you ever feel the need to. You must act in your own best interests." Tears pricked my eyes as his comments struck me more forcefully than I had anticipated. Even though I knew he was correct, the idea of breaking up with Tom and ruining my life was horrifying. "Thank you, Lucas," I muttered. "I'll give it some thought." Lucas reached out and took my hand gently as I turned to go. "I'm here for you, Sarah, no matter what you decide. Just be aware of that." As I squeezed his hand, I felt a flurry of longing, dread, and thankfulness. "I understand. And thank you for that." Even after we left the gym that night, Lucas's words continued to weigh heavily on me. I was aware that my choice would have an impact on my personal sense of fulfillment and happiness in addition to my relationship with Tom. There were no easy solutions, and it wasn't going to be simple. However, I experienced clarity for the first time in a long time, a feeling that perhaps, just possibly, I could make my own decisions. I thought about my relationship with Tom, the life we had created together, and the ways we had grown apart a lot over the course of the following several weeks. Lucas sprang to mind, along with our mutual connection and the potential for something fresh and unique. Even though it was challenging, I realized I couldn't continue to live in uncertainty. I needed to decide. After considerable introspection, I finally sat down with Tom one evening and we had a lengthy, candid discussion about our current situation and future goals. There were tears and difficult times, and it hurt, but it was essential. Ultimately, we both came to the conclusion that it was time to let go since we had been clinging to something that was no longer functional. Even though saying goodbye to Tom was difficult, I felt relieved and liberated, something I hadn't experienced in a long time. Although I was aware that the path ahead would not be simple, I was prepared to meet it with a fresh sense of purpose and an open heart. Taking things one step at a time, we maintained our friendship with Lucas. There were no expectations or promises, only the knowledge that we were both negotiating unknown territory and learning as we went. Even if it wasn't flawless, it was genuine, and that was sufficient. Ultimately, I discovered that happiness is something you have to strive for and make a daily decision for. I felt positive, excited, and prepared for whatever was ahead, even though the voyage was far from done.